Obviously, capacitive proximity sensors are useful because they can detect a wide range of materials. Rubber. If you look down here at the PLC, you can see the indicator light coming on. Wax. Here's some tape. I guess that would be classified sort of under paper. Glass. Here's a piece of glass. I'm trying to keep my fingers away because it also can detect flesh. Okay, so we have all these different materials that the sensor can detect. But let's look at some other applications for capacitive sensors that make them a lot more useful in certain applications. So right here I have a tube with some airsoft BBs in it. I'm going to adjust the sensitivity of the sensor so that it doesn't detect this plastic, but it does detect the plastic or the material inside when I get it adjusted properly. So there is an adjustment screw on a capacitive sensor that allows you to do this. So let's go ahead, and right now it's adjusted so it doesn't see just the plastic tubing itself, but I'm going to set the adjustment screw so that when I get to the material inside, it does sense the material. So this suddenly opens up a lot of doors. We can do a lot of things with this. So let's go ahead and imagine we've got a situation where we have to detect some material flowing in a tube. Maybe it's a storage container, and when the level of the material gets high enough in that storage container, then we want an activation. So I'm going to put my put a little funnel here on the top, and I'm going to start pouring this material in here and watch the PLC. Well, it looks like I pulled it away while I was doing this. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to take the sensitivity up just a little bit more so it can respond to So I've got it adjusted so it's just off when there's no material inside there. So let's try this again. There we go. Now we got an activation. Let's try it again and see what happens. We're sitting about 1 millimeter from the sensor. And there we go. Now we got an activation again. So you can see how this would be useful. You could use this to stop a pump or some transfer mechanism when the tank got too full. You could also use another proximity sensor at the bottom of the tank to sense when the level got too low. So you could use 2 proximity sensors to sense whether the resin for an injection molding machine or some other material that was bulk material like this, whether the level was too high or too low, and program your PLC to do the appropriate thing. Another thing you can do with this is detect things like water. So here we have a bottle, and imagine a process where you're filling something up, some container up, and we're letting water come into this bottle. And right there we've already got a detection. We've had a detection for quite a while doing this, and that's because water is a really good trigger for a capacitive sensor. In fact, we can pull the bottle quite a ways away and still have an activation. So I'm going to try this again. So here we are sitting here about 1 centimeter away from the prox sensor, and I'm going to keep pouring water in it. Okay, and there you got an activation. So this is another potential application, liquids, sensing liquids. And you're going to want to do some experiments with any materials you're going to use to make sure that they are going to activate the prox sensor appropriately. The sensitivity range is pretty large, so you can adjust the prox sensor to virtually have no detection capability, or something that has to be touching the sensor, to something that's out several millimeters away. In fact, I think this particular sensor can actually sense things up to 25 millimeters away. That's a pretty large sensing distance. Of course, it depends on the density of the material and the nature of the material. So what we need to do next, though, is look at what can we do with this information. Now that we've got a sensor sensing fluids or something in a container, sending the information to a PLC, how do we get the PLC output card to do something that would be useful, like turn a motor? And when we think about turning a motor, we can really think about turning a pump or turning on any other device that could be used to transfer material. If we can get a motor to turn, it means we can make the next leap and make something else turn that uses a motor or some other way of moving the material. So I hope this was useful. See you next time.